Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because a single suspicious individual, by creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like
the mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along, and then to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very...
That's just awful! How could anyone...
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning.
I understand how an accomplice could be...
That's problem numero uno right now!
Here's my answer! It was Celeste.
So I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder...
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose the idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time that I would go within 10 feet of that shit-brain-fat, lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the... Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proved...
I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste...
Shush! The adults are talking now.
Sorry.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed in... If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but to...
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search, and not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said? We headed to the second floor, next to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor.
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
And when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into two groups.
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, and on top of that, That piercing cry of yours early on. That was to say, it was your way of telling him, why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the...
I just realized another strange thing. When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only Celeste, you were the first one to... You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our mind.
I don't believe it!
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah? I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste... Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and then... Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we...
I remember her saying that too.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi once we were in the hall. We ran into Celeste, and Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about... Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
All I said was... They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was... They must really be enjoying the sight of us. They must be... We are all going to die here. We are going to die. Just like those...
No, it's wrong! That's right. There's no reason Celeste, when she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all... So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for her...
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know...
Imaginations?
You claim that I was lying when I... Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed...
It has to be some... Celeste, put the suit on. And...
Have you so quickly forgotten? You, plus, I happen to know that this particular camera, in other words, it is an unassailable fact If everything I told you was a lie,
Simple. Are we sure that's really...
what could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one...
No, there is no other explanation.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. Situation. Of course you'd notice him.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
No, that's wrong! No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate? Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate? Celeste? Clearly! You want to cram me into your little guilty box? Well, there's one lip. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as... who had attacked you, he said, and I quote, "Yes, in other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!"
Wait! But my name isn't really Yasuhiro! It's actually... Taro!
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making...
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about?
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would